to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and you're about to listen to a hypnosis session all about connecting with the ability to be warm and loving and generous. And I was working with a client that grew up in quite a strict environment, having older parents, one of which very strict and lots of rules and responsibilities, and the other one quite critical. And something happened in their childhood that really had them feeling that their parents didn't support them or protect them or care for them in the way that they felt they should. And that created a lot of anger and resentment and to some extent hate for a period. And a consequence of that is that it made it more difficult for them to be loving in the way that they wanted to be loving, with, affection and kind of more of that genuine kind of warmth, because they didn't really experience that as a child. So what this hypnosis session does is an element of inner child work, of timeline therapy, of going back and doing two things. One, imagining a childhood that they would have wanted, but also imagining taking the perception of a father and being the father to that child in the way that that child would have wanted to have been fathered. Now, with timeline therapy, you can't actually change the past. Nobody has a time machine to actually change the past. But what you can do is, by changing connotations and meanings, you start accessing different ripples through time that mean that if that one thing didn't happen, it then updates all the way to the present. That's the essence of timeline therapy, to look at the point of inception and then create a new timeline that is more useful for what the client desires. And what the client desires is to be, not intellectually know that they love certain people, but actually be more loving and feel more loving. And there's also an element of the law of the lid here, which is there's only the ability to receive love in the same way that you can kind of really connect with that self-love within. So what this does is heal that kind of inner child as a part, as a metaphor, but giving them permission to therefore give more love and receive more love too. So if you feel an element of emotional detachment, or it's difficult for you to say certain words or be around certain people in a loving way, then you might get some value from this session. Just be aware, though, that it was created for an individual, and therefore certain situations, like being sent to a specific school, or they loved surfing as a child, some of these suggestions and references might not quite calibrate to you and your situation. So just hone into the ones that do connect and disregard anything that doesn't. And if you do like the idea of working with me directly, there will be a link in the description where you can schedule a free consultation call, and we can have a chat on Zoom, and I can explain how I work and everything about what it would mean if we're working together, so that I'm your hypnotherapist rather than you just listening to these recordings. So if that's of interest, check that out. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that feeling of calm relaxation, and as you exhale, feel that wonderful feeling of release, as if any stress, any worries, any tension is slowly but surely leaving your body in that outward breath. Breathing in relaxation and exhaling tension. Each breath takes you deeper and deeper relaxed. That's it. The deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you feel. And the more relaxed you feel, the deeper you breathe. And just allow your mind to take you to that place. The place where, after each breath, you relax a bit more. Letting go of any sensations that don't belong. Feel the surface of your mind quietening. And maybe you can feel something deeper emerging. A peaceful awareness. No judgment, nothing to do, just awareness. Simply be here now, allowing any thoughts, emotions, or evaluations to naturally rise, to naturally change, to feel how good it would feel to just align. Just like you can trust your subconscious mind to show you exactly what's ready to be changed, healed, or updated. And I wonder if you could imagine what it would be like to keep your physical body where it is and to imagine floating upwards. As if your body stays exactly where it is, but your awareness drifts almost like an out-of-body experience. Light, effortless, floating high above. And from this higher vantage point, I want you to imagine what it would be like to see the timeline of your life stretching out beneath you. On one side, the past, and on the other, the future. And directly beneath you, see yourself with your eyes closed, deeply relaxed, undergoing something that could lead to profound change. And I want you to look at that timeline that takes you backwards, all the way back to your past, and just allow your subconscious mind to guide you. Perhaps to just before the earliest time of any form of emotional distance. Maybe it was a time when there was a shift from unconditional love as a baby to then suddenly rules, expectations, responsibilities. But your mind can take you there. Maybe a time before the life you had suddenly changed. Maybe before there were chores and responsibilities. And I want you to see, just observe that life. A conflict. The freedom to express yourself with friends. And almost the requirement to be someone else when you were at home? Just observe what kind of love you received as a child. Was it tough love, conditional love, or warm, expressive love? Affection, support, and care. I want you to observe it as it was, not as you wanted it to be, but as it was. But look at it with a detachment, like a scientist just observing an experiment. Maybe raised voices, consequences, pressure, maybe even a moment of what felt like to you at the time as abandonment, rejection, even betrayal. And maybe that child didn't feel the love. Maybe that child couldn't understand how criticism or rules, responsibility, or being moved to live somewhere else was love. And that's understandable. Because the child that felt unseen or unheard, unsupported or not cared for, a child that grew up as though love had conditions, certain things that were required to be worthy of that love, that maybe had to earn through performance, to adopt a role, to be obedient or be successful. And as you observe from above, just get a sense that, isn't it understandable if that early experience of how to express love was detached? That would lay the foundations to hold back from fully expressing. And as you imagine stepping toward that younger version of you now, see them notice you, the adult that you've become, stronger, wiser, very different from your father. And as you meet with that younger version of you, I want you to let them know with your eyes, your tone, and your presence that you see them, that you understand. And I want you to give them a warm embrace, a hug. Take an interest in their interests, maybe surfing, the beach, who their friends are, what they like to do. Tell them that they were always enough. They didn't get it wrong. I want you to get a sense of giving them a feeling of reassurance. I want you to imagine a beam of light from your heart to theirs, feeling like there is a connection between you as you are now and them as they were. But given that this is just your imagination, let's try changing some of that history. Just imagine you're an invisible observer and rewind everything. And just imagine from being a young child, seeing that child get everything that you feel that would have been useful, helpful, necessary. See yourself with those hugs, smiles, play, shared activities, deep conversations. See yourself getting the support, someone that has your back. Maybe you imagine your parents with those qualities. They grew up at their time. And perhaps they did the best they could with the resources they had. But imagine your father being warmer, less strict, more caring, more supportive. And perhaps your mother being more encouraging, affectionate, supportive. And just observe and see how that younger version of you, that boy, changes their interactions. It's safe to communicate, safe to ask for help, safe to give a compliment or receive a compliment. See the child with parents as they could have been, celebrating effort more than outcome, and offering comfort instead of correction. And watch as that younger you receives love freely, hearing words like, "We're proud of you, we love you no matter what, you're safe here, we've got your back." And notice how that inner child of yours begins to change, be less guarded, less distant. Their shoulders relax, their breathing deepens, their eyes light up again. And once you've seen that, just rewind everything until you're back as a young child. But I want you to imagine stepping into your father, almost like it's an avatar, that you get to play that role the way you would have wanted to have played it. But if you can go back in time and father yourself the way you would have wanted to have been, just take that perceptual position now. Notice what's different. Words of encouragement, support, taking a deep interest, helping them. I want you to get a feeling that this version of you, being the father that you would have wanted to have had, parenting you in the way you would have wanted to have been parented. And I want you to notice how it feels to be nurturing, to be caring. And I want you to come to a conclusion that the more loving, caring, affectionate, and supportive you are with that child, the more it will ripple through time all the way up to your present. Feel what it's like to father yourself, providing that affection, that patience, that fun, all the things that you feel were missing before. Maybe you're the one to teach them how to surf, taking them to the beach, playing with them as they go on that skateboard, spending time with them on the beach. And when their friends come over, there's no chores for them to do. You organize fun things. I want you to get a feeling that the bond between you and your inner child strengthens. An unbreakable connection built on kindness, not control. And just allow that feeling of unconditional warmth fill every cell of your body, from your heart expanding outwards like sunlight. And then take on the position of the child. And I want you to feel that you're in that version of you as a child at about 12 years old. And I want you to feel that there is a conversation about maybe behavior at school or something else. But the tone you hear from your father and your mother is curious, compassionate, understanding. They really understand your perspective. And just imagine that what happened being sent away to a different school doesn't happen. Because that connection, that bond, that support, that love was there. And then imagine floating back above your timeline again, with that younger self safely integrated, and look down along the years that follow. Not sent to a different school, more time to really develop. But I want you to see a future where from then to now, you're just as driven, just as hardworking, just as ambitious. But see yourself expressing love more generously. Kind words, compliments, thinking of other people, consideration, and not just doing things for other people, spending time with them, your energy, your words, your presence and your attention. See it changing throughout your teenage years, early adulthood, moments of success and challenges. But I want you to see yourself with elevated levels of love and connection, affection and support. And as you drift above each memory, notice how they subtly update. Old moments now infused with more compassion, more humor, more ease. And you're reminded of those enthusiastic, loving archetypes. Successful, strong, and yet affectionate and warm. Each version of you along that timeline receives a ripple of love from this moment. The child no longer alone. The teenager no longer an outsider and defensive. The young man no longer angry and disconnected. It's as if all of those earlier selves finally know they were loved all along. And as you drift to the present, see yourself looking relaxed exactly as you are now, but then follow forward into the future. Float forwards and observe the coming days, weeks, and years. see yourself being more generous with your time, your presence, more affectionate with your words, your embraces, until you see yourself in a near future moment where love is not forced and not intellectualized, but expressed naturally, sincerely, and openly. Maybe you're with a member of your family that was difficult to really express that feeling. So then observe how you offer affection without hesitation. Or maybe with your partner feeling warmth and connection flowing freely through you. And when you're sure that's what you see, float into that future version of you. And notice how authentic it feels. Not forced or artificial, but simple, genuine, and true. Notice how your body feels lighter, your heart feels open. There is nothing disingenuous. You can be expressive and loving, feel the love. Have that consideration, that care, without trying to force it. And you're not even trying to feel love. It's now something you're just doing and experiencing. And as you connect with these future moments, know that your subconscious mind is already reprogramming the patterns of the past, like it's updating your emotional blueprint to reflect this new integrated self. It's time to drift back from the future, seeing the ripple from the past all the way up to the present and beyond. And as you float above your present, I want you to imagine that if love had a feeling, a location, where it would be in your body, and just feel that expanding, maybe there in your chest, starting to glow, starting to vibrate. And as you float back into your physical body in the present, take that wonderful feeling with you, so that the past and the future collide into the present, unlocking something that was always your nature, and now it has permission to be owned and shared. Very soon I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now. And when I count from 1 to 10, you will awaken feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, but more importantly, connected to that loving, caring, warm side of your personality. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, So no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free. There will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.